Imagine a potential customer asks you to add an advanced security feature to your solution at no extra cost. Would you say yes or no? Your response would probably depend on the answer to these questions. Who is the potential customer? What do they want? What are my sales goals? If those answers meet certain conditions, like the size of the potential deal or your need to hit a quota, you may be motivated to try to find a solution for your customer. Now what? Let's look at what you need to know to start negotiating. In a typical sales negotiation, there's a buyer and a seller. Each party has slightly different goals. The buyer's goal is to improve their business or quality of life by purchasing a product or service. On the other hand, the seller's goal is to increase revenue by bringing in new customers and sales. So, how can two people with different goals work together? Sales negotiation happens when both parties can benefit from working together. Without that, the negotiation will either fail or not start at all. Let's go back to our example. What if the company making the ask is a small startup looking for a three-figure deal? You probably wouldn't negotiate, right? The potential upside just isn't big enough. Now imagine the buyer is a top-ranked company and the sale would be in the six-figure range. If they request security for free, would you negotiate with them? If you're like most salespeople, the answer would be yes. Why? Because winning this company's business would boost your bottom line and your company's profile. Landing this high-profile company could increase your business down the road. Now that you've decided to negotiate, you'll engage in the 5 stages of sales negotiation. In the first stage, you will plan and prepare. Here are some questions you'll want to ask. What is the best possible outcome? What is the worst outcome I'm willing to accept? What is the customer likely to want? Next, you'll need to establish the rules. Both sides should have a clear understanding of what exactly you're negotiating. For example, what's on the table and what's off limits for you and your prospect? How much time are you both willing to spend on the negotiation? Then, it's time to make the case. You need to explain what you're proposing and why. So, let's return to the large company. Your initial position might be to agree to include it, but with an added cost. To justify that, you can explain that if you give away the feature at no cost, it will take too long to build and implement, and the buyer would not immediately benefit from the transaction. The buyer would then understand that their free request might have its own sort of cost. Once you've explained your position, you'll start going back and forth. One side makes an offer, the other counters. This can go on for as long as it takes to reach an agreement. If you can find that agreement, the last stage is to close the deal. A successful negotiation usually ends with a verbal agreement followed by a signed contract. Once the sale is official, you can help your customer implement your product or service. You can't make a sale without negotiating. So, before you get started, clarify the benefits for both parties. Then, follow the 5 stages to close the deal. Remember, careful preparation and clear communication set the stage for a successful sales negotiation.